A very common question I get as a real estate agent is, should I do any renovations on my home before selling it? And so if you're thinking about selling your home, then you know that there are literally thousands of dollars on the line. And you also know that investing money in renovating your home before you sell it should get you more money, but this involves a lot of risk. You know that just because you invest $50,000 in upgrading your home doesn't automatically mean you're gonna get $50,000 more when you sell it. In fact, it's very common that a major renovation could end up losing you money. So I'm gonna cover the 5 most important things you need to know about renovating your home before you sell it. My name is Walter. I'm a real estate agent here in Westchester and Bronx County, New York. And the most important thing that you need to understand about renovating your home before you sell it is that you're dealing with an extremely nuanced situation. This is not a one-size-fits-all solution because every home and every real estate market is different. So I'm gonna be giving you some very general advice, but if you have any specific questions about your home, my contact information can be found down below in the description section. Okay, so let's begin. Now, the very first thing that you must do is look at your situation very objectively. You must start by removing all of your emotions and look at your home as nothing more than a tradable commodity. Think of your home like a baseball card. On the front of the card, you have a photo of that player, but on the back of the card, you have all of their statistics. You have their at-bats, base hits, home runs, RBIs, all the numbers that the player accumulates. So when a buyer is looking at your home, they get to experience both what your home sees and feels like, and they're looking at all the statistical information, like number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, square footage, age of the home. So by looking at both the appearance and the statistics on your home, you get real insight into what buyers see when they look at your property. So if you want, you can contact me for my 16-point data sheet, which is the sheet that I use to analyze properties here in New York. These 16 data points that I use to analyze a property include number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, square footage, lot size, and age of home, just to name a few. You can then use these statistics to compare what your home looks like to the other properties that are currently up for sale. That'll give you a very accurate estimate of what your home could potentially sell for if you put it on the market. Now, if there's enough recent sales information, you can see what an upgraded home could sell for in your area, as well as one that needs renovations. You can then easily decide for yourself if it's worth your time and investment to upgrade your home to convert it into one of those upgraded properties and sell it for that price range, or if you're willing to accept the price of your home without doing any renovations. Now, this strategy doesn't always work because sometimes there just aren't enough comparable sales to get a full understanding of the market for your specific home. I'll give you an example. Let's say your home needs a full renovation, needs a new kitchen, new bathroom, new floors, new walls, new paint, new doors, new everything. You look at the recent sales in your neighborhood, and the only homes that have recently sold have been fully renovated homes that are selling around $900,000. So if we know that a newly renovated home similar in size to your property in your neighborhood is selling for around $900,000, and the cost of renovating your home is gonna be around $100,000, then we can assume that the buyer is gonna wanna pay the $900,000 minus the cost of renovation, minus the cost of them having to do the work themselves. And this number usually falls anywhere between 50 to 100% of the cost of renovations. So $900,000 minus $100,000 on cost of renovation minus 50 to 100,000 in having to do the work themselves will leave you with offers between $700,000 and $750,000. So now you could argue that if a renovated house in your neighborhood is worth $900,000, that a buyer should be able to pay you $800,000, invest $100,000, and then they would pretty much be breaking even. But from the buyer's perspective, this doesn't make too much sense, because why would they buy your house for $800,000 plus invest another $100,000, invest time and money to just break even when they could go out and buy a renovated house in your same neighborhood for $900,000 and not have to do any of the work themselves? So what we normally see is that buyers that are willing to buy homes that need renovation are willing to make offers as long as there's some type of spread on the value once the work is completed. And that spread is normally between 50 to 100% of the cost of renovations involved. So if they need $50,000 in renovations, they would want a spread of $75,000 to $100,000 off of the price off of a fully renovated home. I'll give you an example. Right now, my wife and I are searching for another property to buy. We're looking for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath co-op in Lower Westchester. And these co-ops tend to sell for around $275,000. Now, we found one that's gonna need about $30,000 in renovations. And we would be crazy to pay $245,000 for this apartment. Why? Because if we buy it for $245,000 and then we have to do the work ourselves and we invest $30,000 into the apartment, and now we're into the apartment for $275,000, well, that would be crazy, because at that point, we might as well just buy a brand new apartment for $275,000. But we are willing to pay $200,000 for one of those apartments, because after we invest the $30,000, then there'll be some type of equity, there'll be some type of spread between what we invested, which would be a total of $230,000, and the apartment's actually worth $275,000. So that would be my first point. You have to look at the numbers very objectively. The second most important thing you need to know is that some neighborhoods put a much higher premium on renovated homes than others. If there is a market for homes that need renovating, then those buyers know exactly how much they're willing to pay. But if your home happens to be in a neighborhood where everyone does renovations, then believe it or not, by your home not being renovated really hurts its value. Let's say your home fully renovated would sell for $1.5 million, but it needs full renovation. Many times, that buyer that can spend $1.5 million on a property is not interested in buying your home for $1 million and then spending $300,000 and 6 months doing a renovation on a home. Again, this is a very nuanced topic, which makes getting the right advice even more important. You really need to have a full understanding of your home's real estate market before you invest in any upgrades. My next point is you cannot upgrade past your home's ceiling value. And I'm sorry to say that this is a very common issue. Sometimes homeowners spend way too much money upgrading their home past what it could sell for. I recently met with a homeowner who completely renovated their 2-bedroom condo in the Bronx. When it came to pricing her apartment, I told her that 2-bedroom condos in her building were selling for around $400,000. Because her apartment was fully renovated and because she added an additional bathroom, I told her that she could max out between $425,000, no more than $450,000. She responded by telling me that she invested way too much money into her condo and there's no way she could sell it for anything less than $600,000. If the nicest home in your neighborhood sells for $800,000 and you decide to invest an additional $250,000 in upgrading your home, that doesn't change the fact that the nicest home in your area is selling for $800,000. So you always have to be aware of what the market is for your home and what's appropriate and what is not. Now, if you live in an expensive neighborhood, there's a lot more flexibility in increasing the value, as long as your statistics can justify the higher sales price. Meaning that if you live in $1 million neighborhood, but you own a 2-bedroom, 1,200 square foot single family home, no matter how much upgrading you do, your home is going to be compared to other 2-bedroom, 1,200 square foot single family homes in that neighborhood. Your home might end up being the highest sale for any 2-bedroom single family home in your neighborhood, but your home value cannot compare to a 3-bedroom, 2,500 square foot home in the same area. Now, the next most important thing to know about renovating your home before you sell it is knowing where to invest your money. Now, it's been my personal experience that renovating your house by redoing the floors and repainting will get you a much greater rate of return than by renovating kitchens and bathrooms. And by the way, these cosmetic upgrades should come after you've inspected your major home systems. Systems like the heating system, the roof, the structure, the plumbing, and the electric always take precedence over cosmetic upgrades. Now, if those major systems are all working properly and you want to invest more money in upgrading your home, redoing the floors and painting is going to get you a much higher rate of return on your investment than renovating a kitchen or a bathroom. So I think there are two major reasons why renovating the floors and repainting the walls get you a higher rate of return on your investment. Number one is that the floors and the walls take up about 80% of the visual space. So as a buyer is walking through the house, they see a lot more of the walls and the floors than they do of the kitchen. And number two is that many buyers have pre-sold themselves on the idea of renovating the kitchen. They may be even subconsciously looking forward to doing a renovation on a kitchen. So if you redo the kitchen and you leave the floors and the walls to be redone, it takes away from their excitement. But if the rest of the house looks great, the floors are brand new and shiny, the walls have been repainted, you just need to do a new kitchen, in their mind, they're just one renovation away from having a completely renovated house. The next important point is that oftentimes custom renovations often devalue a home. When you put your property up for sale, you want it to appeal to the maximum number of potential buyers. Every upgrade you made to your home that customized it just for you typically reduced the number of potential buyers. Remember that homeowner I spoke to you about earlier, the one with the 2-bedroom condo in the Bronx? Well, she added a second bathroom into her condo. To add that second bathroom, she had to remove 2 closets and shrink the size of one of her bedrooms. And in New York, where closet space is already limited, that just reduced the number of potential buyers for her apartment. And I'm sure someone's gonna appreciate that apartment because it has a second bathroom. But if you're trying to appeal to the largest number of buyers, having normal sized bedrooms and having regular closet space is much more important than having a second bathroom. I'll give you another example. There was a homeowner I met with a few years ago who owned a 3-bedroom single family home in Elmsford, New York. Now, because he was the only person living in the house, he removed one of the walls between 2 of the bedrooms to turn his 3-bedroom into a very large 2-bedroom house. So I told him that by reducing the bedroom count, he was losing between $80,000 and $100,000, because that's what the comparable said was the difference between selling a 3-bedroom house and selling a 2-bedroom house. So before we put the property up for sale, we had him put the wall back to convert his house back into a 3-bedroom house. So if you've done any customizations to your house, you really have to ask yourself if the potential buyers are going to appreciate these customizations that you've made, or is this going to shrink the buyer pool for your property? And finally, probably the most important point that I can make is that before you start investing money and time into upgrading and renovating your property, be sure to review all the paperwork about the sale of your property before you start any of this. I've sat down with endless numbers of homeowners who all tell me that there are no open permits or violations on their property. And once we put the property on the market, we later find out that there were violations or open permits that the homeowner was simply not aware of. So before you start investing any money in upgrading your property, make sure you look at all the paperwork, make sure there are no violations or any open permits on your home. There really isn't too much paperwork involved when it comes to selling a property, but each document is very important. And these important documents include, number 1, a certificate of occupancy or a certificate of occupancy search, the deed to make sure that all the owners on the deed are accounted for, a survey of the property, and you can also have a title company run a search for any violations. I would say that probably 1 out of every 4 homeowners that I sit down with that hire me to sell their property have some type of issue with their certificate of occupancy or a violation that they were completely unaware of. And many times it's not even their fault. I've seen violations pop up that were 20, 25 years old. I've seen violations pop up on searches that happened even before the homeowner purchased the property. And any of these title issues can end up slowing down or stopping your home from selling altogether. So it's important to get a copy of all the important paperwork of the sale of your home early in the process. So there you have it. Those are the 5 most important things you need to know about renovating your home before you sell it. And if you're thinking about selling your home here in Westchester or the Bronx, my contact information can be found down below in the description section. I can offer you a free, no obligation consultation where I can walk through your house and tell you exactly what you need to do to maximize the value of your home when you sell it. I've helped hundreds of families navigate through the sales process, and I can help you avoid any costly mistakes to maximize the profit you make on the sale of your home. There you have it, and those are the most important things you need to know before renovating your home. But here's the thing, renovating your home is one of the many things you need to know about before selling. So I made a playlist of my best videos about information on how to sell your home. So click the link on the screen right now for more videos about information on how to get your property sold. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.